What's up, guys? We are back, and I got Hannah in the cut with me. Today, we're going over some of the biggest lies in real estate that a lot of people think are true. So, without further ado, Hannah.
Okay, well, one of the biggest lies I found out about recently through Elijah was that you have to be a part of NAR to actually practice real estate.
Yeah, you don't actually. And this is all information that you can look up, depending on the state that you live in. There's, as of January 2026, agents do not have to be a part of NAR. And also, as of January 2026, you cannot be a part of NAR and still have access to your local MLS. You might have to pay like a monthly fee, but it's relatively a lot cheaper than what you would be paying the monthly dues that you would be paying. Like over here, I was paying like almost $500 every single year. But yeah.
Another lie inside traditional real estate is, well, that's really close. Another lie inside traditional real estate is probably that you have to sell your house traditionally if you can't afford closing costs. If you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so that's basically getting to the wholesale world, right? Yeah, so basically, you don't necessarily have to sell your house traditionally. You can get with somebody, like myself or Hannah, to where, we have other options to where basically you can wholesale your house. And essentially when you wholesale your house or work with somebody who operates in that niche and nature, for the most part, you don't have to pay agent fees. You don't have to pay closing costs. What other fees really come with it?
Closing costs,
processing, title. For the most part, all of your fees on your end pretty much get covered, and you
don't have to make repairs.
Yeah, you don't have to make any repairs. You sell your house as is, and at the end of the closing, you get everything that you want.
Basically, though, with kind of the difference between the wholesaling and traditional is sometimes if you're doing the traditional, it will make more sense for you because you have the ability to be able to wait longer, to be able to see what the market's going to bring you, maybe get into a bidding war. But if you're selling your house because you don't have those funds and you can't already afford to pay an agent, pay closing costs, pay everything that we just talked about, that's where a situation where wholesaling your property or selling it to someone who's investing makes a little more sense.
Right.
Most of the time, sellers care about their net. So
right, 100%.
Their net is basically what they are making after all those costs come off.
And take it home.
Yeah. So it depends per scenario, essentially.
So guys, the next biggest lie in real estate that a lot of people think is that you have to put down 20% to buy a house. And that's definitely not true. There's multiple different loans out here. You can qualify for a VA where you don't have to put as much money down. And I think that's 100% financing for the most part, right?
0% down, yeah.
Yeah, 0% down. There's FHA loans where you can get into a first-time home buyer program where you can put 3% down or even close to 6%, 5% down. So, you want to touch on that?
So for the first-time home buyer loans?
Really just the misconception of you having to have a lot of money to put towards that.
Yeah, no. I mean, what lenders are really looking at least from, I am not a lender, so I will not speak for them. But what we've had lenders tell us that they're typically looking for is just the consistency of knowing that they're going to be making these payments. Your credit comes into play. What you have as a down payment comes into play. You would like to have enough at least to live on. You don't want to become house poor.
Right.
But you don't need to have 20% down for every program that you're buying.
Facts. The next one I would say my niche is commercial. I do a lot of commercial. So a big misconception about commercial is that commercial is passive income. Now, while you can make a lot of money in the commercial real estate space, commercial, you tend to take on bigger risks. In commercial, depending on where you live, especially in Florida, like Tampa, if you go to Tampa right now, most of Tampa is empty. All the commercial units is empty. The tenant turnover rate is crazy. A lot of times when you're a commercial landlord, people want you to cover build out costs. That can be upwards of $100,000. I'm working on a deal right now where we're opening up a beauty supply store, and we asked the landlord for $100,000, and the landlord actually agreed to it for like to help towards our build out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
That's kinda crazy.
it can get very expensive, and then also you have to upkeep the HVAC. Commercial HVAC is super expensive, and then also like the vacancy risk is like super high. So like a lot of times when you're working with new businesses, a lot of new businesses fail, and a lot of commercial landlords kind of just they want the cash flow and they just want money quick. So they'll just kind of just bring in anybody as a tenant, and then people will tear up your spot. Then once you kick them out and you get them out, you gotta redo the whole unit. It's just a lot. So it's not very passive. It's actually very hands-on for the most part.
That's kind of crazy. I didn't know all that.
Yeah, commercials can be crazy. The commercial it's a huge risk, but you can make a lot of money in it. And the next one.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that's all you.
So we've always heard the phrase cash is king. So another lie in real estate is typically when you have cash buyers, they're like, I'm a cash buyer, I should win, right?
Right?
But I mean, typically now you're having sometimes the loan is better. Well, I think a seller can wait for a higher price. Why take the lower offered cash when it has less value in this time?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people tend to think that, cash guarantees that you're gonna have a great deal. I mean, a lot of times a loan, in my experience, I've had loan deals beat out cash deals every single time. In most case scenarios. I've only had a handful of cash deals that actually was a smooth, clean transaction. I've ran into sometimes people, you've gotten the property under contract and the people didn't have enough cash to close.
Because it's not just the asking price, it's the asking price, closing costs, whatever else is added on to live, you have to turn on utilities, everything. So it's not just, I'm giving cash because they're asking $100K, I'm gonna give $100K. Well, it's a little more than that. That's just the first line.
I would say the next one is probably one of the biggest misconceptions in real estate is that you have to have because we talked about wholesaling, but we never talked about you have to have a license to sell real estate.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But it's I feel like it's the technical aspect, because technically you do have to be licensed to facilitate the transaction. But when you wholesale real estate, you're not selling the real estate, you're selling the contract.
Yeah.
So
it's a legal loophole.
I think that's a misconception that people think you need to be licensed to flip real estate, but you don't. You just have to kind of do your research, your local area and your state, and
And the crazy thing is, I was telling him I did research, and basically, realtors were born out of wholesalers, though, because that's originally what it was. It was people going and saying, "Hey, I want to buy this land to build on." They'd have people who sell the contract to someone else and facilitate the deal. So that's where it all started.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
The next one, I would say big misconception is people thinking that the highest offer always wins the deal. And that's not true.
Not at all. But reasons for that is it's not just like, this person's offering 150 and I'm offering 100. Well, it doesn't mean necessarily the 150 will win. They could be asking, especially if it's traditional, they could be asking for concessions. They could be asking for the roof to get repaired. I'm going to take over most of the closing costs, So there's a lot of different things beyond the purchase price offer that goes into that contract. I can go to Elijah and say, hey, I want to buy your house for $100K, but you're not going to pay any closing costs or anything. Let's
Right.
we keep going back to that example. But yeah, like, and he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna save that money versus someone bringing 150.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, I want you to pay the closing costs, fix that roof another 8K, and pay processing another 5K. He's gonna net about the same.
Facts. This was one I probably feel like it has to do with this right now. The big misconception is that open houses sell homes. Now, me personally, I hate open houses. I don't recommend it at all. I'm one of those people who I'd rather do the online marketing, meet people, connect with my investors or people who I have in a stash to buy your properties because I have a higher closing rate that way. But I personally never had success with an open house in the 7 years I've been in the business.
I personally, again, hate open houses just because we're in a technology era.
Yeah.
Like, people are looking at Zillow first before now they're looking at, they used to drive by on Saturdays and,
Yeah.
the open houses. Now it's, and do I have the money? Do I want to go? Do I
Yeah,
want to be
exactly, yeah.
social? Do I want to talk to people today?
And in most cases, like a lot of times with the open houses, a lot of times people have seen your open house or seen the listing before they showed up to the open house. It wasn't just, oh my God, it's the open house in the neighborhood. Let me go to it. Like a lot of times they
Yeah.
already seen it on Zillow, they seen it on Redfin.
They've already considered it. That's
Yeah,
why
exactly.
they're there. And instead of, using a realtor to do a showing, they're like, oh, I'll just come see it. So,
Oh yeah, last one, guys. Is this the last one or you want to keep going?
we can do this one last one.
Okay, so last one, guys. So, new constructions means fewer problems.
LOL.
You want to go first?
No, I'll let you go
All right.
first.
Well, so basically, when it comes to new construction, a lot of people tend to think just because it's new constructions, it's not going to have any issues. I've done several deals that were done with creditable builders who we had to get the property re-inspected, we had to get things fixed. I remember, I think it was my first new build construction that I sold to a lady. We had to get their whole piping system fixed because we had it inspected and her whole piping and plumbing system did not work at all. So we had to go have the builder fix all of that. But had we would have closed, she would have been looking crazy and probably had to spend $30,000-$40,000 to fix all of that.
And see, I've had a buyer end up looking crazy from buying it.
Really?
Because as much as I was trying to advise them, they do have a choice to waive away their inspection.
Right.
So they're looking at the house looks great.
And they
right?
waived it.
And they waived it.
That's crazy.
They waived away their inspection, and the house started having the day after closing, water heater, flushing. It flooded the house. Like, a lot of problems started happening. So yeah, with that, always get your inspections, please. But yeah, newer construction just means that everything's new. Doesn't mean it's better quality necessarily.
Yeah.
They're cheap and everywhere. Don't add that in. But
Okay, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. We're gonna try to get Hannah to start a YouTube channel of her own.
Yeah, it'll be soon.
Make sure y'all subscribe to her channel too.